AmFest, what is up? Hey, my name is Lucas Miles, and it is an honor to be here. I'm the Senior Director at TPUSA Faith, and we want to continue the conversation. It's hard to beat an announcement about Santa Claus, but we're going to do our best to try to do that here today. And I am honored to be joined here with Scott Baller from Saturate USA, as well as my good friend Dr. Frank Turek, one of the greatest apologists in this nation and just a tremendous friend to Charlie and both the Liberties. So thank you for being here with us. So I want to start by saying that the Rumble chat is open, and we're going to be taking a few questions from that. So if you're watching, go ahead on Rumble, go ahead and leave those in the chat, and I will be pulling up a few of those questions as we get into the conversation a little bit later. We want to talk a little bit about revival. We want to talk about sharing our faith. You know, we heard from the Duffys in this last session just the importance. Christ is the reason for the season, but we have to get people there first, right, in order for them to understand it. And so, obviously, here at TPUSA Faith, we are very involved in developing resources and equipping people to be able to share the gospel, to be able to stand firm, to be able to navigate all of the cultural issues today. And you guys at Saturate USA are doing a lot of that as well, and I want to talk about that. But before we get to that, Frank, I want to start with you. And I want to ask, here we are, we're almost 100 days since Charlie's martyrdom. And we are, have seen such a tremendous move since specifically the memorial, which you were part of. It has been said that this was the greatest evangelistic moment in possibly the history of the planet and Christendom. And I want you to unpack a little bit about where you feel like we are in the church today. What is the state of Christianity as we kind of move forward and frame this conversation?
Well, the signs are positive, thankfully, but why does that matter to our country, not just individual souls? Dennis Prager, who, by the way, was a mentor to Charlie for many years, even before I met Charlie, used to ask this question, and the question was this: suppose you're in your car and your car breaks down in a very bad part of town. You get out of your car, it's in the middle of the night, and you see 10 men walk out of an alley toward you. Would you or would you not be relieved to know that those men had just left a Bible study? You would go, these guys are here to help me, not hurt me. I don't know what would have happened on September 10th had we as a church been better at evangelizing, but it could be that Charlie would be alive today if somebody like Tyler Robinson had been engaged in a Bible study. And my friend Scott here has a way to help us get more people engaged with the Lord that will not only save souls, but may save people's lives here and help our country.
So, Scott, let's talk about this. So you guys have developed a platform at Saturate USA, and I want you to walk through the process. You're targeting zip codes, you're equipping the church with packets to be able to help people, to be able to take to their neighbors. So break that down. What does evangelism look like through Saturate USA today?
Yeah, well, Lucas, thanks. So our goal is to share the gospel with every home in the United States. So it's approximately 120 million homes. We have approximately 352 million people in the United States. And so the goal is to empower the church, individuals, TPUSA chapters, prayer groups to go out and share the gospel with their neighbors. We drive by these people every day. We wave to them. Maybe we don't know them, but I know the one thing that Christ talks about and the Bible speaks about very clearly: we need to love our neighbors. And so we want to get out there and do that. It's a very simple process. Individuals, churches, chapters can go and adopt their zip code, and we will provide evangelistic gospel materials to them free of charge to go out and share this with their community. The only thing we ask that they put in the packets is church information to bring these people back to a local church, because that's the goal. But it's also the goal to get us out of the four walls of our church and start loving our neighbors and sharing what's the most important thing, at least in my life, which is my relationship with Jesus Christ.
So let's dive into that a little bit more. Yeah, we can clap for that. That's all right. Let's dive into that, because obviously, it's been said that one of the greatest, we have neither, although I play in this space a little bit, neither one of us want to debate this guy right here when it comes to apologetical matters, right? And so, apologetics can be it's something that you can study your whole life and still, seek proficiency in. You never arrive. It's like almost like a martial art where you're just constantly improving on what you're doing. But it's been said that one of the greatest resources that we have to be able to share the gospel is our personal testimony. So let's talk maybe a little bit about why is this so important to you, and how did you first come to faith in Christ?
Well, I think as you just said there, I'm not going to debate him on any stuff in the Bible. I am not a pastor. I'm just a lay person, go to church every week, love Christ. But when I was younger, I had an opportunity to work with a group, which is Campus Crusade for Christ, which is now Cru, and got challenged to take a year off of school and go live in Russia. And had an opportunity there when I first got there to share my faith. And as I found out, it's really not about an incredible story. It's not really about knowing the Bible perfectly. It's about just planting that seed. And I find it interesting. I had a mentor of mine tell me, it's amazing. You can have some people that'll go to church for months, never feel that need to accept Christ. They can hear a story from a total stranger that connects with them because it's the Holy Spirit inside, and they hear that thing that they needed to hear, and they accept Christ. And so what we wanted to do with Saturate is not have some elaborate way that we've got to spend months trained on how to share our faith or what to do. We wanted something that's going to be simple for the normal person like me who reads my Bible, I wish, every day. As normal, I'm human, so I miss those days, but that's my goal. But also knowing that I want to, go out there and share my faith with my neighbors. And, we've just had hundreds of stories about what could have been lost opportunities if a person in a church hadn't gone and shared something with their neighbor. So that's kind of the goal.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. Very powerful. And Frank, I want to kind of push in on this a little bit more because, sometimes we hear, oh, my neighbor, they go to church, or they said that they go to the church up the road or whatever. Can we take for granted that everybody going to a church today has actually heard the gospel? Talk to us about that.
No, many of them haven't. And unfortunately, so many churches now are very reticent to even talk about the major issues of the day. One of the things that made Charlie Kirk so great was that he was afraid of nothing. He would talk about any issue at any time, because as Christians, our Christian worldview is supposed to inform every single thing we do, not only in church, but also at home, at work, online, in the voting booth. Everywhere we go, we're supposed to bring our Christian beliefs with us because, number one, they're true, and number two, Jesus told us to be salt and light everywhere. So a simple invitation to a good church might be the thing that exactly somebody who's already going to church needs. They just don't know it. This kind of reminds me, I know the great Tyler Boyer here at TPUSA Action, who goes out door to door with other folks to try and get people to vote. This kind of reminds me of that approach just for evangelism. You're just going door to door. You don't even have to talk to people. You can just hang something on their door. It's not even threatening. But if you do get into a discussion, you can talk about the fact that God really exists, Jesus really rose from the dead, and you have a purpose to your life. It's to know God through Jesus and to make him known. I mean, Charlie knew that you had to have direction as a human being. And young people all over the world were magnetized to him because he had that direction that every one of us ought to have. And this can help introduce people to that direction, the true direction of life, the purpose of life.
I think about, I love that example about Turning Point Action and just what they're doing. But and this is, some of the most important work in the country right now, what they're doing right now at Turning Point Action. But when you think about the eternal state of heaven and hell, having a relationship with Jesus Christ, knowing your eternal destiny, and seeing at times the apathy with which a lot of Christians approach this. And Scott, maybe you could speak to this. I would guess that the apathy is not always because people don't care, but sometimes it's because they don't have the tools or the resources to be able to do it effectively.
Yeah, I think they get paralyzed a little bit with being able to share their story, thinking that it has to be some elaborate thing that they have to tell, and it's really not about that. It's a simple story of connecting with people. And I find that it's really interesting as you go out there and you interact with neighbors and you interact with people in your community, you don't know where they're at in life. They could be having marriage problems. They could be, as we heard earlier today, about drug problems, having marijuana in their family. There's so many different things going on in our lives that are distracting us from the important things. But they need someone to come alongside them, partner with them, love them, and say, hey, we're here for you. And that's what the church is about. The church is about that. They can provide that help. And so as we talk about this, when we first started this, we thought this needs, we want to focus on the biggest churches and the biggest groups. You know what I found out? I've seen 2 people in Denver, Colorado do 30,000 homes by themselves.
Significant.
I've seen 50 people in a Spanish church do, half a town. I've seen big churches do great things too. But my point is if we sit back and we do nothing and we expect the pastor to lead us doing this or the big church to do it, they've got a lot of other stuff going on too. And so it takes us, and that's why we love, Charlie and I had a great conversation about this. It's the youth, the high school kids, the college kids. They're the ones that can get out there and do this. They can be leaders in their church that can show the older people we should be evangelizing people. This is how we can love our neighbors. And so that's what's great about it. It can be for old, young, many, few. It works for everyone. So.
You mentioned a Hispanic church, and I want to talk about that for a minute. One of the things we've done at TPUSA Faith is we've created a whole, deck of various courses and classes that you can utilize at your church free of charge. Has anybody been through a TPUSA Faith course at their church before? We got a few hands out here, maybe. All right, I see a couple over here as well. One of our most popular courses right now is our First Truths course. And this is a course that goes through basic foundational principles of primary doctrine, works through that. We just dropped this course in August. It's brand new. We've already had, I think, 70,000 people who have gone through this course in a church setting. And one of the powerful things that we've done with this is we've been able to put these resources into Spanish. And I know that, because look, if we're going to talk about things like immigration and assimilation, let's just set illegal immigration aside for a second. Obviously, we all know that that's an issue that we have to continue to find, very strong solutions for. But if you look at legal immigration, if we're talking about how do we assimilate somebody who's moved here, what gets them to this foundational place to where they see they embrace the way of life that makes us unique? It's their faith. Right? And so faith is such a massive, I would say it's the foundation layer. It's what Charlie believed. It's the foundation layer to assimilation. And so you guys have resources in some various languages that you've been able to put together. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing. We did some research on this and found out that just over 40% of homes in the United States, the heart language that's spoke in the home is not English. So, what we have done is we look for tools that we could provide in multiple languages, and the online tools we provide are the movies and so forth are in over 3,000 languages. And so what's great about that is you can have a family who is from Romania. They can now watch these materials about Christ and about his life and about Magdalene and movies for children in their heart language, which is really important. And also something that's very eye-opening to them because that's something they don't get that opportunity to do living here. I mean, just don't. So it's a huge tool, and it's a great opportunity. Obviously, nothing's perfect, but one person, and that's Christ.
Yeah, that's good.
So.
Yeah, please.
Lucas is not just the leader of TPUSA Faith, but he's also a pastor himself. So I'm going to ask him a question in a minute. But I want to point out that you noticed that when Erica stood up here yesterday, and even before yesterday, 2 days after her husband was assassinated, She went on national TV and she said, we're going to continue doing what we were doing. We're going to continue with the college tour. We're going to keep going to campus. We're going to keep doing the radio show. We're going to keep moving forward. Do you know how much wisdom there is in that? Because right now in our country, our hearts are tender. They're open to Jesus. They're open to purpose. They're open to God. They're open to direction like they've never been open before. On my own college events, I've noticed that questions have shifted from skepticism to evangelism. What do I mean by that? Instead of getting a lot of hostile pushback, I'm getting people saying, how do I bring my neighbor or my friend to Christ? What he's doing, and we're going to show you how to get involved here in a couple of minutes, what he's doing is exactly what's needed in our country now. And Lucas, who's a pastor in South Bend, Indiana, can tell you the same thing, because since Charlie has been murdered, there's been a rise in interest in church, and your church and churches around the country. Talk to that if you would.
Yeah, so my own church has tripled since September 10th. Tripled in size. It's remarkable. We have people who have showed up to church for the very first time. We have people that had never been, they'd never been to church in their entire life, and they came. We had people buying Bibles for the first time. We had people who hadn't been in church in 35 years show up. We had one guy who got on ChatGPT and asked Chat, is there a church near me that would teach the Bible the way in which Charlie Kirk believed? And that's how he ended up at our church. That's just remarkable to me. And it's so cool to see that revival, take place. We only got a couple minutes left here, and I want to grab one of the conversation or one of the questions here from the Rumble chat. Okay, and so first one here, I want to pitch over, and Frank, I'm going to give you like you got 90 seconds or less on this one here. Is what can churches do to start working together to help better steward this moment of revival?
Saturate USA. I'm done. Go ahead. Take it. Really?
No, seriously. That's been the greatest thing. We have seen Spanish churches working with Methodist churches and Presbyterian. We are not selective in who can do this, because here's what we feel good about. The materials we're providing, we know they're good. So we actually had one person, pastor in California, he's like, I got so many boxes, but I'm concerned they're going to be out in our storage unit out there. What happens if someone steals them? I'm like, hey, if someone steals 50,000 Jesus films, great. What are they going to do with them? Give them out.
They'll get saved.
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, it is. It's churches working together, and we do a lot of citywide events, but it's incredible to see when we're focused on a single thing, how churches can come together.
A month before he was murdered, a podcaster asked Charlie, how do you want to be remembered? Do you remember what he said? I want to be remembered for my faith. I want to be remembered for following Jesus. He did. You can take what he wanted done with his own life to so many other people through what this guy's doing.
What's the stat, Frank, that about 1/3 of the planet is Christian? Which means if everybody leads 2 people to the Lord this year, the job's done.
It's done. It's
right?
over.
And so I would ask you guys to do 2 things here as we prepare to close. First off, what I want to do is I want to challenge you. And look, I know we got people in the room from all different, backgrounds and spectrum, but I know that a lot of you here are believers in Jesus Christ. Is that true? And I always described it this way, that Charlie's faith in Jesus Christ was the underlayment, the foundation of everything else that he did. And I think that you're going to continue to see that be the vision that's driving us forward here, especially at TPUSA Faith. I want to ask you to do 2 things for me. First off, I want to ask you to make a commitment, if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, that I'm going to give you plenty of runway with this. I should just say in the next, month, but in the next 3 months, to go to the Lord and say, God, help me to be able to share my faith with one person, at least at minimum, and just seek that out of who that is. Now, we should probably be doing that every single day, but I know there's a lot of people who've never done it before. And the second thing I want to ask you to do is we got a QR code that I think is going to go up on the screen here behind me. And I want to ask that you guys just scan this, download this, go ahead and just get that. We have that on the screen here. There it is. Okay, there we go. So go ahead and scan that and share this with your pastor. Share this with people in your church. You can do this as a small group. You can participate in this on your own. You don't have to have your pastor get involved.
And it's free, right? It's free.
100%.
It's
So
free.
this is
100%.
totally free, like many of the resources that we utilize at TPUSA Faith. This is just getting. There's not a sales pitch here other than just we want to get this in your hands so that you can start using this to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with your community.
Yep, everything's free. We ship it directly to you. We provide maps to help you do and work that area of interest, and it's a great opportunity, so appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, we appreciate you guys. Let's give it up for Dr. Frank Turek and Scott Baller and Saturate USA. I'm Lucas Miles. We'll see you soon.